Hey, what's up? Nicolas Kim Coppola, known by his stage name Nicolas Cage, is a real phenomenon in the world of cinema. Nicolas Cage and his eccentric life are screaming out for a reality show. The actor, nicknamed James Stewart Marciano, and who, according to critic Robert Herbert, has two speeds, intense and more intense, has become a genre in his own right, starring in routine films, B-movies that only premiere on American cable TV channels. He has the Oscar for Leaving Las Vegas in '95 and memorable performances, especially in Raising Arizona in '87, adaptation in 2002, but a life also full of paranoia and bad decisions, which led him to become a character from whom everyone is expecting the next crazy thing. But for those who haven't seen Nicolas Cage's The Wicker Man, they can't measure how tough it was in the beginning and the traumas that he's been carrying throughout his life. So that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. If I don't interrupt your video, comment below the movie you liked best from Nicolas Cage and what you thought stunk the most. Okay, without further ado, let's go. Nicolas Cage, the origin of it all. Many people consider the actor a guy with a personality that's tough to understand, yet very engaging. He's the son of university professor Auguste Coppola and choreographer Joy Voseng. He has two more siblings and would have had a third, his twin, but he died shortly after Nicolas's birth. His parents split up early on and Cage moved in with his dad because his mom had psychological issues and spent time in psychiatric hospitals for treatment. During this period, he landed a part in the televised film Fast Times and Read Man Right. Cage didn't find the experience all that rewarding, and many of his scenes got cut because they didn't meet the production standards. At that point, he first shows psychological weakness when he develops an inferiority complex and begins selling popcorn in a theater, believing this to be his only calling in the film world. However, the actor did not give up, continuing to seize new opportunities and fully embracing his roles. He got another shot in cinema thanks to his uncle Francis Ford Coppola and landed a role in The Wild Man on the Motorcycle in 1983. The surname Cage, an homage to the comic book character Luke Cage, and which would make him internationally famous, emerged in his next film Valley Girl in '83, where he scored the lead role. However, plenty happened in his life between these two films. Nicolas Cage's career was on the rise. With two films released in '87, Cage finally gained popularity. In Arizona Never Again, directed by Zeta and Joe Coen brothers, he and Holly Hunter played a couple who decided to steal a baby because they couldn't have children. And Fetico da Lua, on the other hand, was directed by Norman Dillison. Alongside Cher, he portrayed a young man who only had one hand. The film was nominated for 6 Oscars and won in 3 categories. During the filming of The Vampire's Kiss in '89, he did something unusual. While shooting a scene, he ate a live cockroach. To make matters worse, he had to shoot it 3 times. When asked about it later, he said that all the muscles in his mouth didn't want to do it, but he did it anyway. Again, in 1990, with Wild at Heart, directed by David Lynch, Nicolas Cage received high praise. The film won the Palme d'Or at the New York Film Festival. This earned her a nomination for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for Diane Lady. In the early 90s, the actor made a foray into comedy with Honeymoon 3 in '92, Attracted by Destiny in '94, The Bodyguard and the First Lady in '94, and Cornered in Paradise also in '94. The following year, he surprised the audience in 2 films. In The Kiss of Death as the Strong Good, he played the violent little Junior Brown, and in Farewell in Las Vegas, he won critical acclaim by portraying the alcoholic Ben Sanderson. For this role, he won the Oscar for Best Actor. Contrary to what many expected, the coveted Golden Statuette led Nicolas Cage to permanently move to action films. There were 3 consecutive successes among the public: The Rock in '96, Eat the Escape Route in '97, and The Other Face in '97. Soon after, another genre change when he filmed the romance City of Angels with Mac Ryan and shooting the German film Wings of Desire. His next 3 films were with well-known directors: Snake's Eyes in 1998 by Brian De Palma, 8mm in 1999 by Joel Schumacher, and Bringing Out the Dead in 2000 by Martin Scorsese. 2000 was a return to good numbers at the box office thanks to the action film Gone in 60 Seconds and the Christmas comedy film The Family Man. His second Oscar nomination came with the 2002 adaptation where he played twin brothers. After working with John Woo on Wind Talkers, he decided to make his directorial debut with Sony Giggly. It was not a success. Then came the partnership with Ridley Scott on Matchstick Men, again with no love from the audience. Success only returned with National Treasure in 2004, which would give us a sequel 3 years later by Disney. 2006, Nicolas Cage embarked on the Twin Towers, launching just 5 years after the terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center, directed by Oliver Stone. The film generated a lot of anticipation due to the director's history of analyzing historical and controversial themes. However, the choice to value the emotional side to the detriment of the political side caused the film to receive several criticisms. A comic book fan for many years, Nicolas tried out for a spot in one of the many superhero movies in production in Hollywood. He was chosen by Tim Burton to portray Superman, but the director's departure caused him to leave that project too. His dream was finally fulfilled with Ghost Rider in 2007, based on the Marvel character of the same name. The actor reprised his role in Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance in 2012. In the last decade, many of his films have been panned by critics, though he remains one of the top stars in American cinema. Among them are Sacrifice in 2006, Bangkok Dangerous in 2008, The Sorcerer's Apprentice in 2010, Drive Angry in 2010, and Seeking Justice in 2011. The exception is Kick-Ass, hitting everything in 2010. Praised the comic book adaptation where Cage plays a hero with Batman's image. Nicolas Cage 7 movies at the height of his performance to watch on streaming. Since there are more than 7 movies in my career, I decided to suggest 7 movies to watch on streaming. Arizona Dream in 1987, Face Off in 1997, City of Angels in 1998, Gone in 60 Seconds in 2000, National Treasure in 2004, Kick-Ass in 2010 and 2011, Mandy in 2018, and The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent in 2022. Nicolas Cage, fun, serious, and criminal aspects of Astro's story. Firstly, he went bankrupt and had to sell everything. In 2009, a tax investigation revealed that Nicolas Cage owed the equivalent of $84.5 million, which translates to $28.9 million to the US Treasury. Over the following years, he kept racking up unpaid bills, and by fiscal year 2013, his debt had soared to $12.74 million. In his defense, Cage blamed his accountant, claiming he wasn't aware of these losses. Clearly, he was too occupied buying fossils, one of his conspicuous hobbies, and in 2007 alone, he acquired 22 luxury cars. He justified it, saying, "I had to put the money somewhere." In his defense, he even sold a substantial portion of his assets to stabilize his bank account. Secondly, his superhero obsession led him to change his name and call his son Superman. His birth name is Nicolas Kim Coppola, but he changed it to avoid the pressure. He's from his bloodline and nephew of the renowned director Francis Ford Coppola, but because of his admiration for Marvel's superhero Luke Cage. His comic book obsession drove him to purchase the original first issue of Superman for $135,500 and sell it for a mere $1.9 million when he was broke, and to name his youngest son after Clark Kent's original name, Kal-El. Cage said he chose Kal-El because it symbolizes goodness, originality, and America. This extravagance might be hilarious to us, but the kid's going to have to live with it for his whole life. Number 3, he married Elvis's daughter, his idol, after just 10 days of dating. Ever since playing an Elvis Presley impersonating delinquent in David Lynch's Wild at Heart back in 1990, Cage has included the king of rock and roll in his personal pantheon of legends. We all know that when Nicolas Cage is into something, he's all in with Baroque fervor. So he ended up marrying Elvis's daughter, Lisa Mary Presley, in Memphis, 48 years old, just 10 days after they met. Number 4, their mascot Sumpu is a shark, a crocodile, and 2 giant snakes. Actress Kathleen Turner wrote in her autobiography that during the filming of Peg Sue Got Married in 1986, Nicolas Cage was arrested for drunk driving and stealing a chihuahua he found on the street. Cage sued her and got Turner to admit that the story was false. The most astonishing part of this story is that Nicolas Cage considers stealing a chihuahua a shameful act when he himself admitted having as pets an octopus, a shark, a crocodile, and 2 giant albino snakes. Look at that. Number 5. He had a disagreement with the Mongolian government over a Tarbosaurus skull. After a heated auction, where Leonardo DiCaprio was also bidding, Cage managed to snag a Tarbosaurus skull for just 1.34 million reais. There was trouble when Mongolia demanded its return because it had been taken out of the country, since private fossil ownership is legal in the US. Lucky for Nicolas Cage's interior decoration, not so much for Mongolia. The actor resisted as much as he could, faced with the threat of an international incident, and ultimately had to hand the skull back to the Mongolian government. And it's not recorded that they compensated him, so he ended up at a loss. Number 6, he's already got his sarcophagus ready, where he plans to be buried with his collection of animal skulls and pygmies. So leave a comment below about which Nicolas Cage antic you found wildest and which movie you liked most and least. I'll catch you in the next video. See you later.